Good evening. Tonight, America is in the midst of the greatest national economic crisis in decades, and possibly the greatest global economic crisis of all time. The stock market has all but crashed, and there are signs of economic collapse all around. People on every side are demanding answers, and rightly so. Many are looking to the government to give those answers, but few realize that government was the problem to begin with. When our government stepped into the business world several years ago, it was a disaster waiting to happen. In an incredibly brash move, the government founded the Federal National Mortgage Association, commonly known as Fannie Mae. The purpose of Fannie Mae was to allow people who couldn't afford a house to get a loan from the only place foolish enough to give it to them, the government. Many people don't know that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, also known as the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation, have always been government-owned companies, and they continue to use our tax dollars to fund bad loans to irresponsible homeowners. Now that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have collapsed, the government has stepped in with a temporary solution, a $160 billion credit bailout. Once again, this money is coming from taxpayers' pockets. Every time something like this happens, we give up more of our personal freedom to the government. We would be fools to expect the same government who created the problem to come up with the right solution. Instead, we must deal with this problem in the same way that our country has dealt with crises in the past, with personal, individual resolve and determination. Listen to the words of James Madison, known as the father of the Constitution, when he said, "We have staked the whole future of American civilization, not upon the power of government, far from it. We've staked the future of all our political institutions upon our capacity to sustain ourselves according to the Ten Commandments of God." When this country was founded over 230 years ago, the odds were stacked in an impossible way. America had no logical chance to win a war for independence against England, the most powerful nation in the world at the time. Then, on October 17, 1781, after a long, bloody war, the British Army under General Cornwallis surrendered unconditionally to the American forces led by George Washington. While the British troops gave over their arms to the Americans, the British band played "The Day the World Turned Upside Down." Truly, the world was turned upside down that day, or might I say, right side up. The United States of America became a nation and a beacon of freedom to the entire world. The American dream. To many of us today, that doesn't mean much, but to the hundreds of thousands of immigrants who flooded Ellis Island in New York Harbor, that was the whole world to them. After years of oppression and months of rough sea voyage, the Statue of Liberty welcomed them to a place where they would be free to pursue their dreams, their American dreams. We need to get back to that here in America. What happened to individualism and independence in America? What happened to the American dream? Why are so many Americans content with living off the government and scraping off a living? What happened to the Thomas Edisons or the Wright brothers? What happened to the Jackie Robinsons or the Don Haskins? To have freedom and not use it is worse than not having it at all. According to the U.S. Army Military History Institute, American wartime deaths since our birth as a nation total more than 1,315,000. That figure doesn't even include the millions of wounded and missing in action. If you're wondering how much our freedom is worth, just ask a veteran. Listen as they tell you the awful price that was paid for your freedom and mine. Take a trip to Arlington Cemetery sometime and reflect on the sacrifices made. If freedom was worth so much to so many, why do we squander it away? Why are we willing to sacrifice freedom on the altar of safety? We have forgotten the value of freedom in America today because most of us have never paid a price for it. Benjamin Franklin said it this way: "They who would give up an essential liberty for temporary security deserve neither liberty or security." You see, when America became a nation, an impossibility became a reality. Many said it couldn't be done, and yet it was. That's how it's always been here in America. Millions around the world with impossible dreams have come to America and proven that impossibility only exists in the imagination. It's not the rich land, the bountiful natural resources, or the beautiful lakes and rivers that make this country the greatest on earth. It's the people, and it remains the duty of the people to preserve America as it once was for the next generation. Hundreds of thousands have died for this country, yet we are often unwilling to live for her. My plea to all of us, whether young or old, rich or poor, popular or unknown, is to stand up and proclaim to the whole world that we're proud to be Americans. We're proud of our past. We're jealous for our present and will fight for our future. This current economic crisis will not conquer the American spirit. We will overcome the odds just as we have in the past. We will never forget that our freedom wasn't free and it never will be, and we will realize that it is both our duty and our privilege as Americans to ensure that this country forever remains the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you, and God bless America.